When was the last time that you actually rested? No scrolling, no hustling, no planning, just letting a story carry you away. This week, I decided to do something that I've been looking forward to for months, and that was taking a full reading staycation. No emails, no errands, no to-dos, no assignments, just books, reading, some blankets, and being in the present. And it changed everything for me. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Caroline and I am a full-time research student on campus, but also somebody who loves reading and loves content creation. So my entire personality trait is trying to incorporate reading, content creation, and just books into my busy 9-to-5 daily schedule. I also make cozy reading vlogs, reading tips, all of the fun stuff, trying to help you romanticize reading and trying to help you get back into reading if you also have a very busy and hectic schedule like I do. But this week, we're taking a bit of a turn. I'm gonna do something that I've been meaning to do for a while, and that's taking a reading staycation. I decided to take a full week off of just reading and prioritizing rest and immersing myself in the story of books and reading and my fictional and non-fictional characters that I love and adore. So if you've ever thought of spending time to reconnect with your books and your reading routine and your reading journey, this video is for you. I'm gonna show you what I read, how I planned out my reading staycation, and why doing one of these staycation and taking this time to rest and recharge can be so healing and helpful. So grab a warm drink, get cozy, and let's get started. Before we get into the reading session and all of the reading tips that I have for doing a reading staycation, I want to talk about, as always, why do I do these reading staycation. The main reason being I just wanted to take time off and really focus on reading. The main difference between doing a reading staycation and doing, for example, a readathon, a 24-hour readathon, is that in terms of the readathon, you always have this goal that you want to pursue, right? Whereas in terms of doing the reading staycation, you don't have any goal. I'm not going to be actively pushing myself, trying to cram as much book as possible into my daily routine. Books is part of the reading staycation, but the most important thing is I make sure to reconnect with my reading habits, reading routine, and just dedicating a period of time to letting the stories fill me up instead of me checking them off my to-do list. So if you've been feeling a bit burnt out or in a reading slump, then I think doing a reading staycation is the perfect solution to that. And for me also personally, I just finished working for the summer, so summer work and summer research is already done. So I have a couple of weeks before the semester actually starts. Once the semester starts, we don't have this time, this precious time to just rest, you know what I mean? Enough of a ramble, let's get straight into the video. I just finished doing my skincare, I made some tea, I showered, I did everything in my power to make sure that this is such a cozy experience, and then I'm ready to dive deeper and read more of A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. This is the only book that I read today, and I am on page 239, so a bit more than I expected that I would read. I did not anticipate to be reading this much today actually. I intended for today to be very easy, very stress-free, nothing to worry about. I spent the majority of the day in bed, on the couch, and then just reading. I did a bit of editing as well, but I think that was for an hour or two, and then I was just reading away. The beginning of this book was very hard for me to read into, and also I just did not like Poppy, especially her at the beginning of this book, but then she is growing on me. I agree that some of her inner dialogues are a bit excessive, and I've been scrolling on TikTok, looking at other people's reviews that I have to say that they agree with me, especially in From Blood and Ash. I don't need to know that you despise him, or I don't need to know how you feel stuck and how you feel caged as being a maiden. She mentioned that over and over again. The plan is to just curl up in bed, cuddle up, and just read. I think I could get past page 250 today. The goal is to get to page 300 if that's possible, and then I want to finish A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire tomorrow. But yeah, it's been a very chill day, not doing much, just reading, and I'm gonna check with you tomorrow. If you're thinking of doing one of the reading staycations like I'm doing, these tips might be helpful to you. The first step that I think you should do is set an intention. It doesn't have to be something very elaborate. It doesn't have to be something that's like goal-oriented or number-oriented. For me, it was just simply enjoying and resting and reading as much as possible. The next step would be to pick a pretty flexible TBR. To be honest, I don't even have a TBR. I just like had a stack of books that I think would be nice to finish in this reading staycation. This is the memoir that I've been talking about. I finished this yesterday. I had A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, which I just finished this morning, and this is the second book to the From Blood and Ash series, and I'm about to go to the library to pick out third book in the series. This series is growing on me. I'm really enjoying it, and hopefully the third book gets better. The other two books, which I don't think I will be able to finish in this week, but I've been feeling very inclined to read this book specifically, and that's Metamorphoses by Ovid. I think this is one of those books that I'm going to be reading a couple of chapters per day, and then hopefully I'm going to space this out for the entire month of August. And then the last book, which I'm obligated to read this week, this is Cultish by Montell, The Language of Fanaticism. This is the book that I'm going to be filming a video for my YouTube channel. And then on my e-reader, I have Kiss of the Basilisk and also Nocticadia, because I've been in the mood for some gothic, dark, romantasy. That's the vibe that I'm going for. I've been on a fantasy craze recently, and I've been reading a lot more fantasy and starting a lot more new series than I was not intending to start, but here we are. So that's the second step. The third step is to prep your space. I just moved here, I think 2 days ago, and I spent the entire weekend organizing my bookshelf and also making and creating and prepping my reading space. And finally, decide on your phone boundaries and other to-do boundaries, assignments boundary, plans, emails, whatever work-related boundaries that you need to have for this reading staycation. For me, that means not even touching my phone when I'm reading, or not turning on the notifications for my emails when I'm reading, or just like making a conscious effort to put my phones in the other room. I'm not a phone person. I have made it a habit for me to switch phone time with reading time, and that's been a long way to go. But if you're somebody who's like at the beginning of the journey and not be able to feel concentrated and stay focused, keep your phone out of your hand. Keep your phone out of your reach. Put it in another room. Make sure you build up that momentum and habit of not reaching for your phone, but reaching for your books instead. And that's something that really helps. And now whenever I read, I don't even have to worry about me being addicted and glued to my phone, because I know what I'm reading is far more interesting than what I'm scrolling and seeing on my phone. So that's really something that helps and changes the game for me. I have been sitting here and reading for the past an hour and a half, and I'm now on page 416 of A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, and I'm getting to the good part. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm getting to the good part. The vengeance and all of the things that happen between Poppy's and Castile relationship is being resolved one by one, and that's good. And I feel like it's picking up the pace, and I could see the foreshadowing coming. This is like such a long journey to get here, because the first half of the book was like going smooth, going slow. Things were happening, but they didn't resolve the problem that they had between them. But now that Poppy is starting to realize that this is actually real, and she could still choose Castile over the things that he did to her in the past, he was like, let's actually not pretend anymore, and let's actually be in love for real. And I really enjoyed that. This is a story about Poppy. For those of you who don't know, Poppy is a maiden, and as a maiden, she's not supposed to do anything. She's not supposed to touch anybody. She's not supposed to talk and socialize and mingle. She basically is not supposed to have a life. She's like being locked in her room most of the time. The only people that she meets are like the Duke and the Duchess, and then the priestess and the priest, and that's all. The only thing they talked about was like the religion and how she being the maiden is important to the Ascension, which is like one of the ritual that that's very big in this country or in this city of Solace. We have this thing going on between the Ascended, so like the people who have gone through the Ascension, versus a group of people called the Atlanteans. And the Atlanteans, they have been rumored to have been extinct after the War of the Two Kings, and that's when like the Ascended and the Atlanteans, they went to war against one another. And then there's a group called the Dissenter, and the Dissenter are followers of the Atlanteans. But basically, we goes on to this journey of following Poppy. It is a first-person POV. I wish that it would be more of a multi-POV, to be honest, learning more from other people, especially learning from the Ascended and how they think and how they view the society to be. I think that's gonna add a little bit more depth and just layer to the perspective. I'm waiting on the case for my e-reader, my Books Go Color 7. I placed an order 2 weeks ago and it hasn't arrived, and so I have a situation that I have to sort out with USPS. That's not fun. It was rather very annoying. I called them twice already up until this point. I was just like looking for some assistance in terms of, can you confirm to me where my package is and what's the problem and why is it being late, being delivered late? And nobody's been able to give me that answer, which I was like, that's such a simple answer. But anyway, I digress. I know it's a lot. I need my case right now, because you know how like the moment that you place an order, you started to anticipate the package. That's my little rant. I'm gonna catch you tonight, and then we can talk about how the second day of my reading staycation is going. I finished A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire this morning, and the ending was such a big cliffhanger, like you could never imagine. And so I had to immediately start book 3, which was The Crown of Gilded Bones. I was hoping to find a physical copy at my local library, but somebody checked it out before me, which was a bummer. But it's fine. I was able to get a digital copy on my Books Go Color, and I'm currently on chapter 16 on page 120 out of 392 pages. I know that doesn't sound a lot, but the font on this version that I have is very small, so I'm like straining my eyes trying to make out the words. I'm trying to slow myself down and actually read every single word, because I have such a bad habit of skimming, especially when like irrelevant details or just like so much descriptive details. But anyway, I'm gonna be reading that tonight. The plan is to try to finish this book tomorrow, and then the next read will be The Cultish by Montell. Hopefully I will be able to finish this book in like 2 days. So we're likely gonna read a lot of books this week, but that's fine. That's the goal of August, before everything goes back to the swing of things and I had to go to school and then do all of those fun stuff. I do have to finish Kiss of the Basilisk though, but I'm like hesitant because it is very spicy. So we'll see. And then I think the next read that I'm gonna do is either reading A Shadow in the Ember, which is the first book in the prequel series, and then I will be hopefully cracking open a palate cleanser romance. I have Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. I also went to the library today and then I picked up A Problematic Summer by Ali Hazelwood. That's like the newest book that she has. And then I have Bear Town and another, I think, romance book. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow and then we can talk. One thing I noticed about doing a 1 week reading staycation is how healing and how restorative it could be. No guilt, no productivity. It's just like you and your books and the things that you do, like doing bookish things. Like I loved going to the library, spending an entire day just like reading, curling up on the couch, cuddling. If you are thinking of doing this, I would highly recommend, just for the sake of it and how it can improve your relationship with reading. And especially if you think reading as something that's very rigid and very tense, intimidating, very even negative, then I think doing one of these can really help rewire your mindset and your beliefs about what a reading routine looks like. It also reminded me that sometimes, the most healing and beneficial thing that you could do yourself and your system is just to do nothing at all. Like nothing extraordinary, just like you connecting with whatever you like doing. It doesn't have to be reading, but like spending as much time as possible with your hobby and the things that you enjoy. Every time that I do one of these, it just reminds me of how I could go from somebody who doesn't read a single page a day to somebody who loves reading and can read like 3-4 books a week, and that's just absolutely amazing. And I still at this point love reading so much, and I hope that you could also find that type of love and that type of motivation to read, because I truly think reading is beyond just a hobby that can brings you knowledge. It can actually brings you restoration, relaxation, and just peace. It's day 3 of doing the reading staycation, and today is a very fun day in my opinion. I am reading Cultish, The Language of Fanaticism by Montell, and I am on page 84. The goal is to get to the halfway mark today, meaning getting to page 140-ish, I think. It is talking about the language of cult and just cultish and just all those movements. Language can be such a central part in forming the cult and forming all of these organizations. I think this is rather well known, but the way that the leaders often separate between us and them, and then insider versus outsider, is one of the reasons why the cults are so tight-knit, and each of the member has such a strong bonds with one another. So that's been very interesting. I also want to at least continue reading The Crown of Gilded Bones. I went to the library, but then, like I mentioned, they didn't have the physical copy of this book. This is going by a bit faster than I expected. Maybe it's like the 3rd book in the series already. And then I went to the gym today, which is the first in a couple of months. I have not gone to the gym since, I don't know, last year. But as I was going and exercising in the gym, I was listening to Only Lovers in the Building. This is the arc that I was given to listen to. I am, I think, 40-ish% in, and this is so good. This is such a fun romance. This is basically a romance about obviously lovers in the building. So they are neighbors living in the same apartment in Miami. Lily, which is the FMC, she just quit her job as a corporate lawyer, and she decided to, spend these 3 months in the summer just figuring things out, making the most of everything. And then she met with this hot bartender named Benito, or Ben. He isn't only a bartender, but he is apparently a translator, a very well-known translator. But the thing that bonds them together is their love for books, and she invited him to her 2-person book club about romance. And they apparently has, I think, accounts on BookTap, which is like an app that's like book talk but then sharing books, something like Fable, I think. It's like they're trying to deny their love for one another, but they cannot deny the chemistry that they have. That's the update. Very fun and actually very healing. I'm glad that I took a step away from reading and actually went to the gym today. That felt nice. I did not film much today. I also did not feel like reading much today, so I just took the majority of the day off. I did some baking. We tried out a new recipe, which was so fun. I tried making the burnt, I think, Basque cheesecake, and it was relatively easier than I thought. We did a bit of reading. I'm now reading The Crown of Gilded Bones, but on that note, a very special package came today, and it is my new case for my Books Go Color 7. If you don't know, Books Go Color 7 is a type of e-reader, so similar to a Kindle, but I chose it because of the freedom and how you don't have to be part of a subscription services. It runs on Android, so it can download pretty much all of the apps that there are in the Google Play Store. Technically, I could scroll on TikTok here. I could read like from NetGalley, basically on this thing. Also read manga, read comic. It also has colors, and it is a fraction of the price of the Colorsoft. Anyway, on that being said, even though it's been out for a while now, this device doesn't have that many accessories to go with it. Even the case was very hard to find. My original case was I placed a custom order on Etsy. It's a leather case, a custom leather case, and although I liked it, over time it just scratches very easily and it doesn't look as nice as, at the beginning. And then as I was scrolling on TikTok, I came across this one video where this creator was talking about how the Kindle Oasis case can also fit the Gold Color 7 pretty nicely. And so I ordered the case from a shop called Miyagimu. Hopefully I'm pronouncing the shop's name correctly. Happy to report it fits. Although not very tightly, but it still fits. There's this flap up here that you would just slide your device in and it should be nice and tight. It has a strap. So that's the strap. And also it has this little stand. So it can stand up like that, which is pretty nice. And then I really like the design. This is, I think, in the ivory sword design. It also has magnetic closure. Then when you flip it back like this, it also closes very nicely. And then I could hold it up like that. So if you have a Books Gold Color 7 and you are still in need for a case, I would say this is pretty good. It's like very cheap as well. Cheaper than the leather custom case that I had. There we go. So that's the new thing that I've been waiting for the entire week. I just mentioned that I think earlier. I think I would love to finish Cultish, the Language of Fanaticism book tomorrow. I'm like almost halfway through, but I just did not feel like reading nonfiction today. So I just opted for fantasy. I'm trying to finish this book. Here are some tips to make your reading staycation feel a little bit more special, or these are the things that I do this week to make this week extra cozy. The first thing that I do is make reading snacks. So I just baked a beautiful cheesecake yesterday, and that's been my snack for the past day or two. But I do want to switch to healthier snacks, so like fruits. I also had a tea to accompany with me reading, so that's good. The next thing that I do is switch locations. Usually this is my reading spot during the day, but I just went to the library. Reading at the library is so atmospheric. Also reading in bed was also very fun, but make sure you change and switch your locations often. If you have a car and you have the luxury of going around, then even explore your downtown or go to other places that you usually would not go to, would add to the vibe and make this experience extra special. I don't know if this is something that you should do, but what I'm doing is I'm reading multiple books at the same time. That kind of intervenes with me reading nonfiction a little bit, but I feel like it's nice to have a bit of a selection. The entire theme of this week is to mood read, and sometimes I'm in the mood for a fantasy, and so I pick up a fantasy and I temporarily put down or put a pause in the nonfiction book that I read. And then other times, like today, I'm feeling more of a nonfiction-y vibe, so that's why I switch and vice versa. It's not about finishing as many books as possible. It's more about reading what you feel like to read in the moment. And then this is something that I don't do, but if you want to do, I recommend, which is to create a playlist. For me, I get distracted very easily, so just me reading in complete silence is perfect for me, or sometimes background music is perfect. But then if you are somebody who's like more of a aesthetic and vibes oriented person, then I think creating a playlist is very fun. Or even sometimes people put on like movies in the background, and I think that's also very cozy. It's all about the tiny little things. So those are the things that I do or would like to do and would recommend you doing if you're planning a reading staycation. It just adds a little bit of a structure, but not too much, into this entire thing. And it helps you kind of ground yourself. And whenever you're doing one of these things, like have a snack, prepare a snack, whatever, it helps you kind of transition into the reading mindset, if that makes sense. But that being said, this is the final day of the reading staycation. Today is Friday. The goal today is to finish Cultish, which is the nonfiction book that I'm reading. I'm at the halfway mark already, and this is taking me a bit longer to read just because I've been on a fantasy. I've been craving to read more fantasy. And then I finished The Crown of Gilded Bones last night, very late last night, and I had to crack open A Shadow in the Ember today. So when I went to the library the other day, this is the book that I picked out. This is A Shadow in the Ember. This is the prequel series to the From Blood and Ash series universe, and this is the first book. I am told that I should read this book after I finish The Crown of Gilded Bones, and then after finishing A Shadow in the Ember, I'm gonna go back to the From Blood and Ash, so going back to Poppy and Castile. But this apparently is a completely new set of characters, and basically this is about Nyctos and his consort and their story and how their love story shapes the entire millennium or the entire century or many centuries to come. And then if I'm feeling more of a spicy dark fantasy, then I have Kiss of the Basilisk on my e-reader. Also, I have Nocticadia downloaded and ready to go. I've been seeing a lot of references to Nocticadia on my TikTok, so I think that's a sign. So that's the lined up of today. I know that's a lot, but that's going back to what I said about having multiple books and reading multiple books at the same time, it just keeps me on my toes. And then I'm gonna check back with you later tonight to do a bit of a wrap up and see how many books we read in total in this very chill reading staycation. We are officially done with the reading staycation. It is the last day of the staycation, and let's do a bit of a recap. First of all, today has been very chill. I did finish Kiss of the Basilisk, and I gave that book, I think, a 2.75 stars. It was very, very spicy, and I'm here to report that I will not be continuing the series for a couple of reasons. A, I think it is spicy, but I think it's kind of poorly written in my opinion, in my personal opinion. I think it's too simple to me. And that could be a good thing if you're looking for something that's very easy to read. It is indeed very easy to read and very comprehensible, but then I don't see much of a character development in any of the character whatsoever. Even in Temperance, the main female character, it's just like she's just going back and forth between choosing one male character over the other. It lacks the complexity and depth. Obviously, it's a why choose romance, dark fantasy, but in that sense, I think it could have done something a little bit better with portraying polyamorous relationship in a more nuanced and layered lens. Sometimes Tem for me is very much annoying. I don't understand her. I don't see where she's going. She's very much annoying. She demands everybody to listen to her and like let her do the thing and let her take control and let her have her own agency, but she's just absolutely dumb and such an idiot that I was like, how I don't know. I was so mad. Caspin, the other male character, he is very, very cautious, but then she just makes him sound like somebody who's like banning her from doing the things that she wants to do. But then I'm like, he's looking out for you, protecting you. He's making sure that you're not dead. I don't want to continue the series. I don't think she's gonna be any better in book 2 and the other books to come. And then I'm reading, still trying to finish Cultish, The Language of Fanaticism. I think I will do this and finish this book tomorrow. I'm gonna try to read a couple more pages of this book and then we could switch, because I have been wanting to continue reading A Shadow in the Ember. I cracked this book open last night or this morning, but I'm getting a bit of a hard time and a difficult time immersing myself in the story as always. Anyway, let's do a bit of a recap on how many books we finished. I have my Fable list and ratings pulled up. So the first book that we finished was I've Been Meaning to Tell You a Letter to My Daughter by David Chariandy, and that's a memoir, and I gave that book a 4.25 stars. I then finished A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, the second book to the From Blood and Ash series, and I gave that book a 4.25 stars as well. Next, we finished The Crown of Gilded Bones, the third book in the series, and 4 stars was my rating. And then finally today we finished Kiss of the Basilisk and 2.75 stars, and I will not be continuing the series. So in total we finished 4 books, which is very fun and very good in my opinion. I did not expect to read that many books in this 5-day period as I did. We have a goal to finish in that I want to read 100 books this year in 2025, and for now I'm like 52 books read already, 53 books read already. It says on my Fable that if I am to read 10 books per month, then I could hit my goal before the end of the year, which is very good. So that's the plan. But thank you for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed. I really much enjoy spending a week just doing nothing and read, which is perfect. If you're also doing a reading staycation, let me know down in the comment section what you learned, how you feel. Did you enjoy the staycation? How many books you read? And what improves in terms of the relationship between you and your reading journey, your books? Is it helpful basically to do a reading staycation? And will you be doing a staycation soon? I think the next time that I have a bit of a free period is fall break, and I would definitely be doing another staycation then. But yes, thank you for listening. Thank you. I hope you enjoy and found this video helpful. I know it doesn't have a lot of tips and tricks in this video. I just feel like doing a bit of a vlog style and just talking and showing you how I go through doing my reading staycation, and also just like the activities that I do on a week off, bookish stuff that I do, taking you along with me for an entire week. week. Hopefully that's been very fun and very enjoyable to you like it is for me. If you like this video, please give me a subscribe, give me a like, a share, a comment. And also, if you like to support my channel, you can buy me a book, buy me a coffee, or buy me a matcha, whatever you want to buy me, using my Ko-fi link in the description. I would very much appreciate that. That's all from me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I hope you have an amazing week, an amazing day wherever you are in the world. And please, please, please take care of yourself and take some time off to rest and recharge and read as much as possible, even if you're very busy. And I'll be seeing you very soon with an episode. Until then, happy reading. Bye bye.